this world a more loving and caring place. Glenn spoke earlier about the big day of serving. He didn't say we were doing it on minimal sleep, having been here for a lock-in on Friday night with our confirmands. But sleep didn't seem to be the highest priority of the day. We were at the Martin Luther King School in Hartford, the old Weaver High School. It was built in 1929, and it shows the marks of its age. It's hard to keep up with a building that large, make it look fresh, clean. But that's what we tried to do a little bit with our work. And we did on our hands, not so much on our feet, but definitely on our hands and our clothes, show the marks of painting stairwells. I was in the green stripe stairwell. And although I think that I've gotten the last remnants of green paint off my hands, it was a reminder that we used our hands to make a difference. There were a lot of things that happened that day. It was great to be there with so many other young people and their advisors. I saw one of my fellow pastors from the New Haven Association, and he said, "Oh, you're not at the annual meeting." I acknowledged that I had given up my attendance at the annual meeting to be at the big day of serving, as had he. Jesus calls us to be people who make a difference, to be servants of one another, to care for each other and for the world that God has made. And Jesus promises us grace and strength and love sufficient for the task, although sometimes we're not altogether certain. But then, when we say yes, when we are willing to follow, amazing things happen. And even young children, with hands tiny as theirs are, make a difference. And we who have had many more years of experience, whether it's through our rummage sales, our work in this local community, our work in this church community, our work well beyond this neighborhood or this community, our hands make a difference individually and together. I came across a wonderful quote. It said, "The greatest in the church are the servants, those who care for others, help others, and do what needs to be done for them. The greatest is the one who prepares and cleans up after others, the one who gets no recognition for doing that which needs to be done." We're entering into our stewardship season when we need to think about how we marshal the resources that are needed to make this church work for Christ and for one another. And I thought, as I looked at the narrative budget, and it's a wonderful piece which hopefully you'll be receiving before week's end, that it takes a lot of hands and feet and hearts and dollars to make ministry happen in 2012. And some of us get a lot of recognition, or at least a bit of it. Maybe a bit of responsibility goes along with that. But sometimes those, like Dean and myself, and even Jeanette and Glenn, get a lot of people who acknowledge the ministry that they conduct. But behind the scenes, and making it all happen, there's a congregation and also some staff people who are less likely to get the reward or acclaim. True servants. Diana Myshock in our church office, who puts together our bulletins and guides our volunteers and does so many other tasks as an administrative assistant. And Sherry Perkowski, our church sexton. I hate to imagine what life would be like without the work that is done to clean up after us, to make sure that spaces are there for us to conduct the ministries that we conduct, caring for a building, and oftentimes doing it without a lot of acclaim. As we were finishing up in Hartford yesterday afternoon, we took a group picture, and two young boys from the neighborhood who had been helping another group rake their school grounds and plant some bulbs and care for their school property wanted to get in our group picture. And so we welcomed them, and they sat with us as we took a picture on the steps of the Martin Luther King School. Anthony and Tayshawn had smiles on their faces. They welcomed us to their neighborhood. And I had another encounter as we were cleaning up. A couple of the janitors from the King School were there. They were giving up their Saturday to volunteer without pay. And I said, I hope you don't have an awful lot of work left for you to do, cleaning up the drops of paint and the things that we leave behind after we've pulled the masking tape off the walls and wrapped up the drop cloths and gone home. That the work that you do matters. Our volunteer service matters. But the day-to-day work of caring for one another and making this world a better place matters to the heart of God. In this stewardship season, we have personal witnesses, and it is my pleasure at this time to introduce Stephen Knight, who is going to share some words with you.